you have people from France, from Spain, you have young director, you have a young actress, you have someone who has already a big career behind him.
As a jury together, you are very diverse. You've all worked more or less in the one more than the other in the horror genre, more psychological, more thriller, more crime. When you have to judge these films together, Mick already put the fists up. Is there gonna be this huge fist fight, and is it gonna happen on stage? Are we gonna see this?
It will be a knockdown, drag-out fight, and you know I'm so buff and tough that Eric will mop up the floor with me, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Well, he's used to clean up, huh? When you see the TV show Breakfast, he used to know how to clean up.
Yuba Bull isn't here, so we have to have someone to do the fist fights. No, but is there a little bit, not that of course you can spoil anything on which movies you liked more than others, but is there a little bit of consensus in the jury about the things you've seen?
I think, no, I think we have kind of the same taste. We have, of course, we have our favorites, but I think we all, you know, it's not like, I have been in other juries, and sometimes there is a what the fuck person that is like, what the fuck? You like that? And I think that's not really happening, you know, it's him. But here we kind of like the same, and we have our favorites, of course. And that, you know, that's in the little details is in the end what's going to decide. But, you know, all the movies are great. And in the end, it's like you have to, there's only like the Highlander, there's only, can be one. So we'll see.
Everybody, at a certain point, you have the impression filmmakers, they all want to go to America because they want to make a big American movie. Eric, you've already been over there to do Hybrid. How was that experience?
Well, that was something I had to do. And I'm sure Paco will do it, but I mean, I don't. These are two different systems, and I think it's very difficult, except when you're a producer or in like on the top 10 list of directors in Hollywood. It's very difficult to get good creative control, especially now. That was probably easier in the 70s or 80s. But now it's really difficult, and I was expecting that, so I'm not saying it was a surprise for me, because I've directed a lot of commercials before, so I know. So I would say shooting a movie in Hollywood is more like doing a commercial, because you get this pressure from clients and the agency. But I mean, I think you can probably, that would be easier for me to do another English-speaking language movie with a European production, in order that I can get creative control and I can shoot in Canada or the US, I don't care. And I would love to do another international movie, but with more creative control, getting my hands on my work. But I would say Mick is he has probably more creative control than a lot of directors, because when he does TV, which is kind of ironical, but which is kind of true, I guess.
It's really changed over the years, but Masters of Horror was the only time in my life where every director had total creative control. That's part of the deal, the rules I laid down. But inversely, I really want to make a movie in Europe. I'd love to make a European movie in English.
Denmark has been put on the spotlight now with Nicolas Winding Refn doing so well and Mads Mikkelsen doing so well. And then Belgium with Runskop and Matthias Schoenaerts and Michael Roskam doing so well. Does that help in developing projects or having projects in different countries?
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, after Drive came out and Nicolas Refn, I feel that there is more spotlight on Denmark right now, and I think it opens a lot of doors for new directors and actors from Denmark, because suddenly they try to look at movies from Denmark, coming from Denmark, and so I think it's a really good thing. But before Nicolas Refn, there was a lot of others. We have Lars von Trier, we have Thomas Winterberg, we have Susanne Bier. We got a lot of good directors. So I think the door has been open, but for every time we make a success, it opens more, and that's a wonderful thing, I think.
And for Belgium, how are we doing?
Of course, it's helped everybody, you know. when a Belgium film become a success in Europe or even just in France, it's open door for technician, for financial other project in Belgium. So it's a happy thing for everybody.
Il y a des questions, n'hésitez pas, ils sont là pour vous. Après, ce sera trop tard.
There is someone.
Mr. Garris, I would like you to do an autopsy, if you will, on Fear itself, the series that sequeled Masters of Horror and had such a, I don't know, short-lived ending.
Well, it was supposed to be the third season of Masters of Horror. Another company bought it, and the original network that did Masters of Horror was a pay TV network, Showtime, with no censorship, except for audition. And Showtime didn't want to spend any more money, and this new company that owned it wanted them to pay twice as much for their license fee. So they sold it to a broadcast network, the most conservative kind of television there is. And it had censorship and commercial breaks and all of those things. So I didn't want to do it. But some of the directors convinced me that, look, they did Twilight Zone that way, they did The Outer Limits that way, so why not we try this? So we wrote all the scripts, and then there was a writer's strike. And I quit because I'm a member of the Writers Guild. And they hired some people who made, their scripts were not what I would have done to replace me. And I saw where the show was going, and I didn't like the show, so I quit entirely. But it was like having my baby kidnapped and raped by, by people who didn't love it and weren't genetically connected. So Fear itself broke my heart, really. It's the biggest heartbreak I've had in my career, yeah.
And you, Eric, with the Braco series, which I think is very, very good as well. Do you prefer working for television or working for pictures?
It's a different pleasure. I mean, I like both. I mean, the television gives you a different energy because you have to shoot really fast. So you have to be really inventive. So somehow it's a little bit like, for me, like, I love, you know, like movie makers from the classic Hollywood B-movies from the 50s and 60s. Yeah, exactly. Joseph Lewis, Don Siegel, all these guys. And I think when we do TV, there's some sort of this energy back, and I really enjoy it. And the cinema is a different deal, but I mean, I really enjoy both. And when you can switch from one to the other, it's really cool. But I mean,
I don't know about in Europe, but in the States, there's a real transformation taking place where the better material is mostly on television. It may be less expensive and it may be a shorter shooting schedule, but movies are becoming less interesting and television's becoming more interesting. Plus, for me, just the way my career has gone, not by any choice, but the better opportunities I've had have been in television. I can work at higher end television and not as good opportunities in films because I'm not that interested in making a Transformers movie or a video game becoming a movie, and nobody's asking me to anyway. But the opportunities have been much better. Bag of Bones, we tried to make it as a movie for 5 years and we couldn't because horror movies are for teenagers in the States. And so we made it as a 2-part movie for television, and I couldn't be happier with having done it that way. And it had a budget that was close to a feature film budget, and we had a cast with Pierce Brosnan and all these people who were top-notch actors doing really interesting, unusual work. So, you know, I've had better experiences in television than in features.
Give them a big round of applause, everyone.
Applaudissements, s'il vous plaît, pour le jury.